Hey everyone, this is Marcel. Hope you're all having a great day. So for this video, I'm going to be discussing people who develop a victim identity, perhaps even to the extent of it becoming a complex. If I misspell it on the title, it's intentional. Kind of a false narrative that they go along with. Maybe not false, but certainly not representative of the whole of their life, and definitely not something they would want to carry around with them forever. And yet they do, and it can be confusing from someone from the outside to not understand what's really happening. I believe I can explain it and break down what's really going on. You might be interested to find that it has more to do with society than the actual event that caused them to feel like they're a victim in the first place. So what do I mean by victim? Let's break this down here. A person who has been caused some kind of harm or wronged in some way, right? So what is a victim identity or narrative in the way that I'm using it here? Someone who either sees everything or most things that happen to them as being wronged, or is also going to define their identity and interactions around the fact that they were harmed or victimized in some way. So in other words, that person that you said hello to and they started screaming that you were assaulting them because you said hello to them, or they freaked out thinking that it was some form of an attack when it wasn't. Perhaps the person that you said hello to and they automatically started discussing how they were hurt in the past. That kind of person. We're going to be talking about them with this video. My understanding of this kind of a social dynamic comes from a memory I have when I was very young. I want to say about 4 years old. I have a memory of having my father stand behind me, and he's got his arms around me, and he's jerking me around, like back and forth, and I'm kind of flailing there trying to escape his grasp, and he's drunk. He's drunk off his ass, and he's laughing. He just thinks it's hilarious. And I whip down and I bite him on his arm. And I bit him hard enough that when I pulled my mouth away, I had his hair stuck in my teeth. He was furious. And he took me straight back to the back room and took out this little fishing paddle that was about, 2-3 foot long. It's the small ones you use for steering. And he takes that thing and he whops me with it like 6 or 7 times. And I was screaming. Now, the only thing he was doing was playing with me and doing it roughly. Like, nothing bad actually happened. And the fact that he whopped me with his fishing paddle was, wrong because he was using a blunt object to discipline his child. But nonetheless, nothing came of it. But if I were to phrase it, for example, hey, my father hit me with a fishing paddle, that would be completely accurate to what happened, but lacks context in how it really affected me. It also sounds horrible. So fast forward a few years, my parents are long divorced, and I'm sitting in class one day, and I recollect that memory. I don't remember what the conversations were in the classroom that had come up, but for some reason that conversation about that memory popped up. Like, oh yeah, my dad hit me with a fishing paddle. And then all of a sudden, everyone in that classroom, the students, the teacher, everybody just swarmed around me and started comforting me and, digging for more information on what happened. Just all this attention, all this, oh my goodness, Marcel, are you okay? Is everything all right? How can we help? I was in a classroom where the teacher hated me and the students couldn't stand me. Everybody gave me crap all day long, and then all of a sudden, like snap of fingers, it all switched. And everybody in that room wanted to help, wanted to make me feel better. And I'm thinking it was just a memory. This is something that happened when I was really young. But I explained it to them. I told them what happened. And oh boy, they went on a warpath for my father. Not even a day or two later, I get this phone call and pick it up. Yeah, Marcel? Yeah, Dad, what's up? Did you tell anybody at school that I beat you? Well, no, I don't know what you're talking about, Dad. All right, because you almost got me fired. All right? So don't be telling people stuff like that. If you need to talk to me about anything, come to me, okay? So what does all of that mean? Well, if I had been someone that were looking for attention, right there, that is the most concentrated attention I had ever received in that class for sure, but possibly in my life. Literally everyone swarmed me and comforted me and just gave me all this attention. And then flip that coin over, I nearly got my father fired. Now, I don't hold any resentment to my father. I love my father, and he has made some huge accomplishments in his life. I'm actually very proud of him to the place where he has come to this day. But to think that metaphorically, as a child, I had a knife to his throat that whole time and didn't even know it, that if I really held a resentment towards him, I could have ended his career, I could have landed him in jail, like the things that I could have done if I had hated the man and been willing to lie to cause that kind of damage. Because honestly, nobody bothered to verify with whether or not what I was saying was true. Maybe they did at work, at his job. Maybe that's the only reason why he stayed employed. Now, the story really did happen. That I experienced that, but it lacked a little bit of context, and depending on a person's wording and interpretation of it, because, you know, everybody experiences things relative, it could be presented much worse than it really was. So now let's fast forward 20 years, 15 years, however you want to look at it, that time frame, and look at these women, people running around in general that have these victim complexes. You know, everything that happens to them is bad. Everything that happened in their childhood gets regurgitated constantly. What's really going on with that? Now, I'm not going to speculate whether or not a person really experienced something horrible. And if they did, that's tragic. And I would want to give them as much help and, you know, comfort to get through that as they would ever need. Now, emphasis here on getting through the situation, becoming more complete as a person, moving on. Terrible things happen to people, and I would do anything in my power to prevent that. But that isn't what's happening, is it? When these people go on talk shows, when they go on, you know, writing articles or reaching out to news crews, imagine that experience I had as a child, but amplified by CNN. All of a sudden, you have this person that was, you know, essentially a nobody, or maybe didn't have much of an identity. And they get this surge, this overwhelming attention and comfort and validation that they're okay, that everything's all right. And then these people that want to do good in the world, that are honestly just there trying to make it a better place, go on a war path to assist this person that may or may not be telling the truth, that could be completely fabricating everything. And consider that, you know, I was a young male. If I had been female, or if the nature of the accusation I had made had been something worse, my father would have been crucified in a heartbeat. But the things that I said, be them true or not, were so abstract, and they were never brought up again. They were never pursued because I didn't want to see my dad go to jail. It's just something that happened when I was a kid. It was real to me. It sucked, but that doesn't mean that I would ever harm him for it. What happened to me when I was young, not what my father did, but in the classroom, was the equivalent of socially getting a hit of meth. Thankfully, I didn't get hooked on it. More important than that, no actual harm came from, you know, what I had said. Though nowadays, this kind of thing is rampant. It's equivalent to, like, everybody in the classroom, those who have been assaulted come over here and stand on this side of the room and get comforted. And everybody who's, you know, the normies that didn't get hurt somehow, you just go sit over there and do homework. No comfort for you. At some point, though, there becomes this sort of an arms race between people that, you know, if I were to sit in that classroom today and be like, yeah, this awful thing happened to me, there would be 3 or 4 other students at least that would speak up and say, well, you know, this thing happened to me and it's worse and I'm still affected by it. And then another one would step up and be like, no, hey, this happened to me and I've still got PTSD from it. And then who gets the attention? You know, who gets the comfort from all of that? It becomes almost a competition for who had the worst experience and how badly they're affected by it. And those are the ones that get the squeakiest wheel gets the grease at that point. Who was hurt the worst? The accusations almost have to become more profound, more specific, more terrifying. They have to be more relevant in order to get that same hit of attention. Furthermore, the audience that acknowledges it, that gives their comfort, has to be fresh, and it has to be larger than before. Because you can't go up to the same crowd of people and say the same things happened every time and again. Eventually they get numb to it. They stop paying attention. It's like, yes, we know you were assaulted when you were young. Move on. Who cares? No, that's not any attention. They have to have more. So in order to get the same response, they have to broaden the number of people that hear them and the level of severity of what is claimed. It's really no different than an addict. They either need more of it, they need more frequent doses, or a stronger, purer version of the drug. Now, most, if not all of this, could be avoided if we were in a society that gave young people the attention that they needed to function and grow. Perhaps the proper education to understand, how to create self-validation, to not need that kind of social hit every time they started feeling blue. I don't have any answers for an easy solution, but I recognize that, people like Mattress Girl, all they're doing that for is attention. But I can say that, and I'm sure, 99% of the people listening right now are going to be like, yep, obviously. What I wanted to do with this video today is just kind of share my experience with what might cause that sort of mindset in a person. And realistically, that attention, that hit, needs to be cut off. And the focus should be on improving the quality of their emotional state, their life, in a positive way, and getting them back on track to being an integral part of society, where they're moving forward progressively and accomplishing something, and in essence, moving on. Not to sound all touchy-feely here, but it needs to be emotional support in the direction of self-improvement, as opposed to the focus being solely on the event that happened to them. Though as many of us know, victim narrative, it's all currency. It's used by, feminists, for example, to leverage their cause and gain more power. So in reality, these people that had a terrible experience are getting used. Their tragedy is being turned into fuel to push a cause, and it's disgusting. And of course, assuming that what they're saying is real and actually happened, they're never going to get the help that they need to become whole again. Anyway, that's about all I have to say on this topic. Let me know down below what you think. Is this an interesting perspective on those kind of people? I know I've had several, if not dozens of girlfriends that have kind of identified themselves based upon bad things that happened to them in the past. And it almost came up in conversation the first day, almost on a first date. They're telling you about these things that happened, 15, 20 years ago. I suppose that can be a red flag to watch for when it comes to interacting with people. I hope you enjoyed this topic. If you want to hear more, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this has been Marcel. I hope to see you again.